Yo, what's going on everyone? Welcome on back to another video. Today I have another character list for Marvel Rivals today. The last video got so much support, I thought I had to make another one. Thank you guys for showing that video so much love. I didn't think I was gonna get that much love, but thank you guys. So I thought I might make a little series out of this. You know, that list was like my prediction for 2026, what characters they had. I want to do the X-Men. We need more X-Men characters in this game. I know we have a couple already, but I can't get enough of the X-Men. I love the X-Men. I know I included a couple X-Men in my last video. I think I included Quicksilver, Jubilee, and Kitty Pryde. So they won't be on this list today, but I cooked up 10 more X-Men characters that we need in Marvel Rivals. So let's get straight into this. And of course, we gotta start with our boy, Cyclops, the leader of the X-Men. Now, I do have like what their moves could be, but look at this concept art. Shout out to these artists again, absolutely beautiful. This design, I wouldn't even be mad at that. That looks great. We do kind of know he's coming to Marvel Rivals based off this image right here. He was in the background of an MVP or I think a trailer at I think Gambit and Rogue's wedding, right? And here he is. This is official Marvel Rivals art, so we do know they're teasing him, and that could be a good sign for him coming. Here's another cool looking design here. This one's pretty cool. This one like gives me tank vibes almost. And I did get a comment on my last video that they would want Cyclops as a tank, because now that I think about it, we don't really have a hit scan tank. Like maybe Emma, maybe you could argue Penny, but like a true hit scan tank, Cyclops, you know, leader of the X-Men. Tanks are leaders, you know what I mean? It could work. I think I would want him more as a DPS, but I wouldn't be mad if he was a tank. And now here I have written down like what his abilities could possibly be. I have his optic blast, obviously, rapid mid-range energy beams with slight recoil and build-up, a focus beam, charge high damage piercing blast that goes through enemies and shields. You know, I think I'm cooking. His second ability, ricochet shot, fire beam that bounces off the walls, and you know, rewarding for map knowledge. Because like imagine like you shoot your plasma beam in a corner and it just bounces and ricochets all over the enemy, getting like a squad kill. Oh my god. We need Cyclops in here. And then his ultimate removes his his visor and just unleashes the most massive laser beam to humankind ever. Just unleash it. Like I feel like it'll be kind of busted, but I think it'll be a lot of fun. And honestly, his movement, I think he could shoot like beams, just like shoot himself back, because I think it is good for like every character to have like a little escape or a little movement. So yeah, we definitely need Cyclops in here, but let's keep it going. My boy IceMan, come on, this is my favorite X-Men. And he's not in Rivals. This is my favorite X-Men. He is so damn cool, bro. No pun intended. But look at this art. Oh my god, I can see it already. I think I would also want him as a DPS. I'm not trying to like add like a million DPS. I think this list I have today is mostly DPS. But there's some tanks and healers, so stay tuned. But let's see. His ice shards, rapid fire projectiles that slow enemies on hit. Not like drastically like slow you down, but like ever so slightly. Because I feel like if it was just like straight up like slowing you down and the whole team just mauls you because you get hit by one IceMan thing, I think they could do a thing like where it stacks. Like if you keep hitting the same opponent with the ice, they get slower and slower and slower. I think that would be more fair, because you also don't want to be like freaking busted and broken. Like you want these characters to be good but not breaking the game. Daredevil, ice slide, create an ice path and surf forward for fast repositioning, right? Kind of like a Frozone sliding through. Flash freeze, burst of cold that heavily slows and briefly roots nearby enemies. His utility, an ice wall, raise a temporary wall for cover. Kind of like what's that team up with Emma Frost and Luna? Kind of like that, but make it last longer, more like a group wall, I would say. And his ultimate, large freezing storm that massively slows enemies, reduces their damage, and turns the air into icy terrain for allies. Basically, like slowing everybody down, chipping at them. It could be good. We gotta have my boy IceMan here. I love this concept art. I think eventually he will come. Like, this character is just too cool not to include. So yeah, IceMan. Let's keep it moving. We got my boy NightCrawler. NightCrawler, also one of my favorites. Just teleporting is just so cool. I think I would also want him as a DPS. Just like, and I want him with the sword. I know, like, in modern times, like in the X-Men movies, they didn't give him his sword. He needs to have his sword, man. That holding it on his tail or whatever, like right here. Oh, come on. They cooked. Shout out to Hezron David. But yeah, NightCrawler could just be cool. Like, this would be like one of the best like flank heroes, I feel like straight up just teleporting to the back and getting them healers out of here. You know what I mean? But here's what I got ran down. His dual blades. We need the sword, like I said. His two swords, actually. Fast melee strikes with high mobility and hit and run damage. Short range teleport with 2 charges for dodging or engaging. Teleport behind a targeted enemy and deliver a heavy backstab. Flanking. This is gonna be crazy dive character. I'm telling you, this is gonna be a crazy dive character. I'm gonna be playing this character. Can cling to walls and ceilings briefly for an ambush angles, kind of like Spider-Man, but more like if he's on the wall, he can kind of like launch off and like attack someone right away. With Spider-Man, you kind of have to like jump off and then web zip to them. This one, you could be like, it'll be more like an ability. And then his ultimate could be just like rapid chain teleports between nearby enemies, kind of like a Psylocke, but cooler because it's freaking NightCrawler. Who doesn't like NightCrawler, right? Dope ass character. Let's keep going. Next, I got Mystique. All right. Now I know what you're thinking. Mystique's not technically an X-Men, but I'm thinking just like X-Men characters as a whole. She's an X-Men villain. I think she'll be very unique. You know what I mean? And some of you might be like, oh, it's gonna be too similar to Loki. She can transform into it. Loki only transforms into his teammates. Think about that. Mystique can transform into the enemy, right? And when she transforms into the enemy, the health bar goes from red to blue. So you truly don't know which one's your teammate. You know what I mean? And that could just create for some very dynamic gameplay. Like, imagine you're like, oh shit, there's 2 Star-Lords. Which one's my Star-Lord? And then once just starts shooting at you and you die because of it, you're like, oh my, bruh. I think it can create some great moments. I would love to see Mystique in this game just for that. I don't even think that would be too like crazy broken. I think it would just be fun, if anything. But I would also want her as a DPS, honestly. Like, she got her guns, you know what I mean? So let's see what I got. Accurate mid-range shots with bonus damage from behind. Shapeshift, disguise an enemy hero hiding UI indicator. Like I said, changing the health bar from red to blue. They don't know. They can't know, right? Ambush strike, quick melee lunge that deals heavy damage if used while disguised. Utility, briefly copy the appearance and movement ability of the last enemy hit. And her ult, instantly disguises a random enemy hero, gains movement speed, and refreshes ambush strike for rapid assassinations. I'm cooking. Alright, next. Now, This is more of an underrated pick because he's not mainstream at all. He hasn't, I don't think he's been in any of the movies. I could be wrong. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But this guy, his name is Chamber, and I think he's really cool. I low-key found out about him in Marvel Snap, and his design was just sick, so I looked more into him, and this is one of the most badass X-Men that I never knew about. I mean, just look at this guy. He looks scary, creepy. But basically what he is his mutant ability is he has like an exploding mouth of fire, right? And he could just like explode that thing. Pause. But like, it's just like kind of, I don't even know if it's like straight fire, but it's just like mystic cosmic radiation or something going on. I don't know. All I know is it's really dope. This is a cool concept art. There's another one right here, like an MVP screen. Like I said, his mouth is just exploding with fire, but it looks sick. Imagine the art on this, man. It would be awesome. Awesome. Here's what I got written down for him. Primary fire, short range, wide energy blast from his chest that deals steady AoE damage. Generates a temporary psychic barrier around himself that absorbs damage from nearby allies. So imagine like he just explodes with flames and creates literally a barrier for him and his nearby, kind of like a Hulk, but like cooler because it's gonna be like engulfed in flames. And then slams the ground, releasing a concussive blast that knocks back enemies and disrupts pushes. So I think we need more abilities like that, like more like the Invisible Woman push, like kind of like stopping these pushes. We need more characters like that. I think I would also want him as a DPS, I'm not gonna lie, but I could see him as a tank because if you make him a tank and you give him like these AoEs and these pushback things, honestly, I actually do think I want him more as a tank now because we need more characters like that, just like characters to help stop strong pushes. Kind of like counter picking a little bit. I think Chamber could help with a lot of that. His utility, taking damage builds charge, increasing blast size and damage resistance. And then his ultimate, Chamber anchors in place and releases massive concussive cyclonic waves, dominating space and forcing enemies to retreat. I could see this guy as a tank, honestly. And like you can make him bigger, like just make the flames bigger or something, you know what I mean? I can see this guy as a tank. I think it'll be sick. This is a sick character model, one of the most underrated X-Men in my opinion. If you guys don't know about Chamber, look more into him. I think he's dope, but let's keep going. All right, so next I got Havok. And Havok, there was an official Marvel Rivals concept art for him. He's more of a low-key one, but I think I would want him as a strategist, like a healer, because you know his whole thing is like he shoots out like these concussive blasts. Like I feel like that could be cool, like as an AoE of healing. And we need some X-Men healers, right? I don't know which X-Men healers we have in there. What do we have? Emma is a tank. I can't think of it right now. I think maybe we have one. I'm not sure, but yeah, like an AoE of healing, I think that'll be pretty strong in my opinion. And I think we need something more like that in the game. His abilities could be fire short range of energy beams that heal allies on hit instead of dealing damage. And then his other ability could be a small AoE heal around himself, also slightly shields for allies. Target an ally they receive heal over time. The beam that grows stronger, the longer it stays connected. So, kind of like a Mercy from Overwatch. You can keep a beam on them, but the longer you're healing someone, the stronger it gets. In my opinion, like keep it on it like a solid tank. You can keep them up. Grants nearby allies a temporary speed boost when they are below 50% health. You know, trying to keep it fair. And his ultimate can be a massive AoE heal pulse, a shield that absorbs damage for nearby allies while slightly damaging enemies in range. So kind of like I want to say it's not like this, but similar to like how Cloak and Dagger heals plus ticks away at the enemy's health, so damages and heals, something like that. But let's keep going. Juggernaut. I know he's not an X-Men, but he's an X-Men villain, and one of the best. And I know you're thinking, another big guy. We already have the Thing. We already have Hulk. You included Colossus in your last video. I know. But Juggernaut could be way different. And let me tell you why. This guy could be like more just like a rampage. Like, just like nothing can stop him. Like, and you'll see I have an ability where he just charges straight through. You can't stop it. You can't pull it with Spider-Man. You can't push it with nothing. I think we need a strong, just like solid tank that you can't move. You just have to straight up kill this guy. All right. I mean, look at this art. You can go with the more traditional Juggernaut look, or like a futuristic looking one. I think this one looks sick as well. I mean, shout out to these artists again. But okay. Slow heavy melee swings that deal AoE damage around him for great zoning. Right? More of a slower character, for sure. You can't make this guy like insanely fast. He needs to be slower. Short dash forward that knocks back enemies and breaks barriers. Perfect for initiating fights. Slams ground, creating a small AoE that slows enemies and briefly reduces their attack speed. Immovable armor. Passive reduces all incoming damage while standing still and partially blocks knockbacks. So, like I said, he needs to be just firm. Not like he doesn't take any damage at all, but when he's sitting completely still, not doing anything, he takes like maybe like half the damage he would usually take. You know what I mean? Because when you're standing still, you're not really a threat, but you could be standing still for heals or waiting for a health pack, and in that moment, it can come in clutch. You know what I mean? And then his ult can just be Juggernaut anchors himself and channels, sending out shockwaves in directions over a large radius, knocking back enemies and dealing massive damage while making him nearly unstoppable for the duration. I might have broken the game with that ult. I'm sorry. But like I said, the first ability, a short dash forward, knocks back enemies and barriers. So just like going straight through. I think he's just gonna be the perfect pusher. Kind of like the opposite of Chamber where he stops pushes. Juggernaut could just be in there. I think he would be sick. I would love this character. Let me know what you guys think. But let's keep going. Cable. Look at this concept art. This looks like it needs to be in the game already. Cable. Another badass X-Men character. Literally from the future, I'm pretty sure. He was awesome in the Deadpool 2 movie. I love this character. Let's see what I got for him right here. All right. So I think he would also be a DPS. Oh, by the way, of course, Juggernaut's gonna be a tank. That was a given. But I think I would want Cable as a DPS. But he will have mid-range energy shots that deal moderate damage and slightly stagger enemies. Deploy a forward-facing energy shield that absorbs a set amount of damage and slows enemies who touch it. Melee punch infused with tech energy, knocking back enemies and dealing damage to staggered foes. His passive temporarily gains damage resistance after taking a hit, allowing him to hold the line. And then his ultimate, because you know he's a time traveler, right? I kind of wanted to implement like some time elements into here. So Cable manipulates time to slow enemies in a large area while firing a barrage of tech projectiles, dealing heavy damage and giving him a temporary shield. I might have broke the game again. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I think that would be crazy, but like I wanted some time elements with him because he's from the future. I mean, I just wanted something with that. Maybe the ultimate's over crazy, but I think they can do something. I think the Marvel Rivals devs can cook with Cable. I think eventually he will come. He has a large enough fan base. I want him. You want him. Let's get him. Let's keep going. Alright, multiple man. Now, kind of more niche again, but I think it could be a cool DPS. I know I keep saying DPS, but I think it could be. Now, I know Loki already has the clones. You're like, what? Another clone character? But Loki clones himself and they heal. Imagine a DPS that clones himself and they just keep attacking. Like duplicate from invincible. Just you create like, I think there should be a limit, like maybe like 3-4 max. Like, and you could just jump a person by yourself. Or like imagine you're holding the point and you know, maybe only the real you takes damage too. So imagine you're holding point and waiting for the rest of your team to come back. It's overtime, it's clutch, and you just make five clones around and they don't know which one to attack first, and it creates just enough time for your team to get back and clutch the game. I think a character like this could be really sick, honestly, now that I'm thinking about it more. Here's another image of multiple man. This is a sick character. I would love it. Here we go. Throws punches or energy attacks with his active duplicates, dealing multi-hit damage. His second ability could be spawn 2 to 3 temporary duplicates that rush forward, knocking enemies back. Place a stationary clone that explodes after a delay, dealing AoE damage and briefly confusing enemies. His passive, each time a clone deals damage, multiple man regains a small portion of health or shield. Right. And then his ultimate summons a swarm of clones around him for a short duration, each independently attacking enemies, creating chaos and massive AoE pressure. I think that could be sick. Like, those AoE ults are always usually really good, especially like in big team fights. I think this guy's just gonna be like a really good team fight guy. Like, obviously this is a team-based game, but I mean, like, you know, some characters are good solo. Like Magic's a good solo character, Spider-Man's a good solo character. This guy's gonna be good with the team, you know what I mean? So something to keep his clones confusing the enemy, attacking the enemy. I think it'll be sick. But last but not least, we need my boy Professor X, right? We need that boy Professor X. Now, I debated like whether I want him with the Cerebro walking around or in his wheelchair. I think either way they go, it'll still be cool, right? Now, they did hint at Professor X already. Actually, here's official art from Marvel Rivals right here. They had a statue of him. But I don't know. Maybe they add the wheelchair version. Maybe they add the standing up version. But either way, I want him as a healer. I think he just works as a healer. And let me show you why. Send small psychic waves that heal nearby enemies instead of damaging enemies. Nearby allies instead of damaging enemies. Target an ally. They receive a heal over time. Beam and slightly reduced incoming damage while it's linked. A cognitive shield briefly creates a psychic barrier around an ally that absorbs damage, right? Passively reveals nearby enemies to allies, allowing strategic positioning and save for heals. So he'll be, if anything, which is ironic because he's in a wheelchair, he'll be more of a positional healer. And if anything, I want more of a tankier healer because I don't know. I feel like he'll be kind of slower, but more positional. Like I said, give him like a good chunk of health, like a 300 health healer. Maybe that'll be too much, but I think honestly, like a character like this, either you have him walking or in the wheelchair, I think it would be pretty nice. And then passively reveals nearby enemies to allowing strategic. Oh, I read that already. Sorry. And then his ult could be Professor X generates a large psychic dome that heals all allies inside over time, reduces damage taking, and briefly disorients enemies who enter the dome. So kind of like how Emma Frost kind of like brainwashes you to walk towards her. If you're in the dome, you're brainwashed too. You're going, you can't see right. Like I think it will like kind of scramble the enemy screen a little bit, you know what I mean? And I think it would honestly be like one of the best healer ults in the game. But yeah, that's my list. I have a couple honorable mentions because I know some people would want them. I kind of want some of them, but they're honorable mentions. So here they go. Angel, I just think it would be too similar to Angela, so I don't know if they would ever do Angel. Legion's really cool. Sabretooth, I think it would be kind of too similar to Wolverine, but they can make him different, like a tank version of Wolverine. Forge, I just thought it would be a little too similar to Punisher. And then the Sentinel, I just thought it would be a little too similar to Iron Man, right? But I know they can mix it up if they really wanted to. But let's recap real quick. So the 10 X-Men characters that we need is Cyclops, IceMan, NightCrawler, Mystique. I think, honestly, that Mystique would be really cool. Chamber, Havok, Juggernaut. Honestly, this was another really dope one. Cable, yes sir. Multiple Man, yes sir. And of course, Professor X. But thank you guys so much for watching this, and thanks for all the support that I've been getting. Honestly, like, it's such a surprise to me. Let me know what X-Men characters you want down in the comments. I'll be reading all of them again. Thank you guys so much. Peace.